And welcome to Studio 5, a new documentary on the life of country music legend Johnny Cash. A look at a new animated series from Angel Studios, and Season 3 of The Chosen gets underway in grand style. We have these for you this week, plus our countdown, the top 5 headlines in the world of uplifting entertainment. Here are the first 2. At number 5, country music legend Dolly Parton passionately rebuked the devil during primetime television as she performed her hit song, Go to Hell, during a Christmas special. The Grammy-winning songstress included the tune in her Dolly Parton's Mountain Magic Christmas special on NBC.
The name of the show is called A Mountain Magic Christmas, and of course, it's the story of the behind the scenes of the making of a network special. So, Satan, listen up! In God's name, I rebuke you! I stand up in His name, look you in the eye, and laugh in your ugly face! I'm always trying in my own way to try to lift people up and lighten the load a little bit if I can. And that was one of the reasons that I really wanted to do this show at this time. Everything's gonna be all right when life is good again.
At number 4.
Black Panther 2, once again, queen of the box office. The sequel, Wakanda Forever, finishing first for a 4th weekend in a row, and it should hit $400 million at the North American box office this week.
And so begins our countdown. We'll pick it back up with number 3 in just a little bit. Right now, we turn to an incredible new film, Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon. This powerful documentary takes us inside the country music legend's faith journey. And we have the honor of sitting down with his son, John Carter Cash.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon. We have a book, now we've got a documentary. What made you commit to being a part of this?
Well, it was my father's mission in life. It's probably his #1 mission was to be, witness for Christ and to share his faith with people.
There's no lonelier place on earth for a man to be than separated from God.
He always had faith in God throughout his life. When he was at the top of his game and he was the #1 artist in the world, he still professed his faith.
Success, all the partying, all the money, all the fame, all that, something is not going to last.
And you begin to realize there's got to be something more.
Past that is a guy who's broken and knows he needs God.
I mean, this is a documentary that covers everything about my father. It truly does. But the focus is on his redemption.
He faced his temptations, he faced his worldliness, and came out wanting to be right with God.
There are many parts of this documentary that are incredibly fascinating. I love hearing his voice also sharing the story. What was it like to listen to those recordings, to see them play out on the screen there?
He surely had to think back and say, was it all worth it?
We were all young and wild and crazy.
How crazy were you?
All as crazy as you can get.
There were a lot of those recordings that we came across just within the past few years.
Wow.
And so I remember who my father was at the time. I remember what he believed in. I remember his sense of humor. So I'm reminded of who he was when I hear those recordings. And there's things in this documentary that that my father never shared anywhere else.
What would you say is, I guess, the newest thing or surprising thing for you to learn? It would be hard to imagine that you're learning something new having spent your life with him, but
there's insight into into his own connection with his father, the way that they healed their relationship later in life, insight into his feelings about his brother Jack, who passed away when my dad was 12 years old and Jack was 14. There's so much there really is, and then there's so much insight into who my dad was and what he meant to various people. I mean, there's everybody, from Alice Cooper to my father's sister Joanne that's interviewed for this documentary. And so there's a varied insight into who my father was and what he meant to different people.
There was not one person that didn't respect Johnny Cash.
He sort of lived in his own atmosphere.
His unapologetic attitude, that's what made Johnny Cash cool.
We also learn a bit more about the the love connection between your mom and dad too.
Yeah.
In this, I mean,
Yeah,
she was incredible to him.
Yeah, I think that people walk up to me and they ask me, they say, what's it like to be a product of the greatest love affair that ever was? And I'm like, well, you evidently weren't there. You know, there was a lot going on, but what is beautiful about their relationship is that it endured, and that through the fire, through the struggles that they had, that they did stay together, and that in the end they were closer together than they ever had been. And I think they would have rather had it that way than not. There's a lot to learn from it. There truly is, about long suffering, about the fruits of the Spirit, about the blessings that are to come through staying together and through the struggles that go along with it sometimes.
He was darkness and light, living in the same body, and one fought against the other.
There's a lot of talk in the film about the struggle between light and dark.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the fact that your dad's known as the man in black, I mean, that constant struggle. What would you say about that dynamic? Was it something you witnessed or were able to see?
Johnny told me I'm my happiest when I'm performing. But sometimes Cash gets into trouble.
I mean, my father was really, he'd said it himself, he's like, it was two people. I mean, there was Cash, who was the performer, who had the ego that wanted what he wanted and wanted to feel more of it, that struggled with addictions. And then there was J.R., John, my dad, who was a gentle, kind man, always loving, always forgiving, always considerate, thoughtful of other people. But I think by the end of my father's life, he had a lot of connection with understanding who he was and what really mattered to him as a person and as a Christian.
How did he pass on that faith to you?
By walking the walk. You know, he gives me strength today to continue when I look into the eyes of my children. And he was asked by Larry King on live television one time, what would be the most important legacy that he could leave behind? What's the most important thing? And his answer was that he would be a good father. And so I remember and that was when my father was very ill, at the end of his life, and looking and thinking, not thinking about the gold you can't carry into the ground, but looking into the eyes of his children and his grandchildren and believing that he was there for them. And so that's the legacy that in the end that I hope my children can connect also with, is that I hope to be a good father, and he was that to me likewise.
Johnny Cash, The Redemption of an American Icon, is in theaters for a limited run. You should see it this evening. Still ahead.
We're missing Dragon Day. I'm coming.
It's a Studio 5 first look at the Wing Feather Saga, the largest crowd-funded animated series based on the best-selling fantasy book series by Andrew Peterson.
What was casting the voices like? What was that process like? I got to speak to Kevin already.
It was really hard.
We're catching up with the author and the animator at the series celebration in Nashville.
What are the rules when you're in town? Stick together, be polite. When things are mad, stay out of sight.
To have sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
At number 3.
The drunkards cry, the soldiers plead not to let him die.
Amy Grant's voice and work earned her a spot in this year's Kennedy Center Honors Class, which includes George Clooney, Gladys Knight, and Bono.
Everywhere you turn in Nashville, you see Amy's Fellowship, established musical therapy at a children's hospital for veterans struggling with the wounds of war, playing benefit concerts for a long list of worthy causes. Amy calls music a soul-enlarging experience.
At number 2.
Spent the last 7 years of my life living out my wildest dreams. Bianca, Rocky, my dad. This was built on their shoulders.
A Studio 5 first look at Creed 3.
Hey, my man, can I help you? Let me get an autograph. No, I ain't signing no autographs, but you get off my car.
You don't remember me, huh?
Damien. How long were you locked up?
18 years, bro. Just got out last week.
Glad to have you back out, huh?
This installment marks Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut and explores the themes of brotherhood, family, and forgiveness.
I need you to let go of your fear. Let go of the guilt. Let go of whatever was and walk into what is.
I feel those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death.
It's in theaters in March.
Well, that's going to leave us with only one more story to share in this week's countdown. Right now, though, we're turning our attention to something new from Angel Studios. It's the Wingfeather Saga. It's a redemptive fantasy book series for the entire family, but it's now a multi-season animated television series. I had the pleasure of traveling to Nashville to bring you this first-hand look.
We're missing Dragon Day.
I'm coming.
What are the rules when you're in town? Stick together, be polite. When friends are mad, stay out of sight.
So we sit here now at the launch of another series that people have already told you by their support that they love and they want. How does it feel for you guys? I mean, behind the scenes pushing them, if you will.
This is the magical time. The Wingfeather cast and animators and directors and the whole team and everybody at Angel. This is the magical time when
people are doing
begins.
late nights. And
yes,
lots of good memories are made during this period.
We are truly indebted to our brave and magnanimous host.
Tink, you can't just run off.
Rumor is Black Carriage took 3 children last month.
When we talk about the Wingfeather Saga series, where did that come from?
I mean, who knows? I just love to read and love stories, and I've always kind of sensed, even when I was a kid, that there was something going on inside me when I would read a certain kind of story. And then realizing as I got older and became a Christian that, like, oh, that's one of the ways the Lord is kind of getting to me.
And that gives birth to this.
Yeah.
When you ran off, I had to leave Lily alone. Lily? Lily?
So you come along, you read the books. When do you start to see characters and animation? What happens?
Like a lot of stories that unfold, the first book was like, I was so entranced by his use of language and the whimsical nature of the story, and it was like, this is delightful. And book 2, it was like, oh, now we're out of like the fun zone and it's getting serious. What we found some freedom in is to say, let's imagine this story lives out in space and that Andrew wrote his version of it, and now as a TV series, we're going to tell our version. Same story, different vantage, almost like the Gospels, right? And we'll catch different details that maybe Andrew didn't capture, and we'll tell it in a visual way, right? So that's automatically different. So that if you've read the book, great, here's a fresh experience. It doesn't feel kind of reduced, right? If you haven't read the book, welcome, you're going to have a great time with us. Right?
And also, if you haven't read the book and you watch the show first, reading the book will be a new experience.
A fresh experience, absolutely.
It all feels like it's in the same world, it's the same story, but we're coming at it different ways.
Where'd she go?
What's the journey been like to do this with Angel Studios?
Well, it's been an answer to prayer. Partnering with Angel gave us a chance to be with somebody who said, you guys, we trust you. Tell the story you want to tell.
create something to solve a problem in your own life, and there's a whole bunch of other people that need that problem solved for them too, and you can assume that and just go make what you want. And that's what we're doing.
That's right.
We're making the system we want to exist for us and our kids and our grandkids, and our assumption is that means there's a lot of other people who want it too.
You understand me, boy.
We have to get out of sight now.
The Wing Feather Saga is available now on Angel Studios platforms. With that, we have reached the point in the show where we get to share a beautiful story in pictures. Here's this week's Studio 5 snapshot.
Remembering Kirstie Alley. The actress starred on the big and small screens. She was best known for her Emmy-winning role on the series Cheers, and in films like Look Who's Talking. The star's children, True and Lily Parker, announced her death on social media, saying it came after a brief battle with cancer. She was 71. A life well lived on and off screen, and this week's Studio 5 snapshot. Moments away.
I have chosen you 12 as my apostles.
The Chosen breaks another media record, the highest grossing film in Fathom Events history, pulling more than $14 million at the box office.
It's been a beautiful opportunity for me. Season 3, for me, is probably the proudest season for me as an actor.
We're on the red carpet.
I am not a TV watcher. My life is insanely busy, and I don't watch TV much, but I would love a reason to do it again. And this is my reason.
With some of the series' more famous fans.
I'm here to support all content that is, uplifting God, that can put Christ on on display, and this show is doing a phenomenal job of that.
Welcome back to Studio 5. A series on the life of Christ continues to grow with more than 420 million views of its first 2 seasons. And The Chosen begins its 3rd season this month. The cast and creators kicked off this season in grand style. They shared the first 2 episodes in more than 2,000 theaters across the country. Studio 5 traveled to Atlanta to bring you a first-hand look at the star-packed premiere with the cast and creators and a few celebrity fans.
It's lights, camera, action. For the cast and creators of the largest crowd-funded media project in history. As they and fans begin Season 3 of The Chosen with a big splash at Atlanta's Fox Theater.
It's been a beautiful opportunity for me. Season 3, for me, is probably the proudest season for me as an actor.
I'm Judas. Shalom, Judas. Are you ready to do hard things? Yes. We will see.
How has the connection for you and Jesus grown over this course of time now?
We start getting into some real meaty moments in Jesus' life on screen. Moments I never thought I'd get to depict.
and I think it's only going to go deeper.
We want to create a world that we can exist in for the next couple hours.
Creator and director Dallas Jenkins says Season 3's theme is "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest."
This is the time where they go, okay, great, we're following Jesus. Everything's going to be awesome, right? When are we going to overthrow the Romans? When are we going to start making our lives better? And Jesus is like, oh, hey, funny story. That's not why I came. You're called to surrender. You're called to give up your life. This is the period of the 7 seasons where the disciples wrestle with that the most. And they ask the questions that I think we've all asked at times in our faith journey, which is, wait a minute, why isn't everything awesome? And what Jesus, I think, gives us is a new definition of awesome.
Speaking of awesome, this chapter comes with new music, a song from Matt Maher, inspired by the very first season.
Tell me about the song.
So the song's called The In-Between. And so it was obviously inspired by the conversation between Mary Magdalene and Nicodemus.
I was one way, and now I am completely different. And the thing that happened in between was him.
From a mess to a mess, a blessing to a blessing.
The line itself is such a strong line, and the show is done so well that I knew instantly kind of what it needed to feel like. Making this video and seeing the song through the eyes of all the characters has really deepened my love and appreciation for the show.
He's in good company.
How are you feeling to see this chapter?
Yeah, I think a lot of people here is like super excited about the premiere tonight. What I get excited about is when I start reading comments of people that watch the show and its impact them personally.
Do not be anxious about your life.
Whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them.
Why would you commit this block of time to The Chosen?
I think it's so critical in the post-pandemic reality of the church. Most parishioners aren't going to the building, but The Chosen is packaged to extend the gospel much further than any pastor's microphone.
I have chosen you 12 as my apostles.
What made you commit to coming out and spending this time?
Well, this community is so important, and it's important that we support each other. So when I was asked to come, I said, of course, I'm here to support all content that is, uplifting God, that can put Christ on on display. And this show is doing a phenomenal job of that. So I just feel like I'm a part of the culture and the community, and I really felt like I needed to be here to support.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you.
Season 3 of the groundbreaking series The Chosen is available this month, and all signs indicate it's the biggest and best season yet. With that, we have made it to the final story in this week's countdown of the 5 best headlines in uplifting entertainment. Here's what's finishing on top this week. At number 1.
Want to know what I want for Christmas?
Ellie.
I want to ride Belle. You can't ride that crazy horse, Ellie. She's a couple beans shy of a good chili.
Why you gotta ride that one?
Because Mama rode her.
You might look just like your mama, but she was the only one that could handle her.
It's a Studio 5 first look at Moonrise before it streams to PureFlix December 15th.
Maybe celebrating Christmas will do everybody some good.
Good morning. I'm Sam Lynn from the Horse Training Co-op out of Houston.
Ellie, this is Sam Lynn, the horse trainer you apparently hired.
Can't send her home after she's come all this way.
It stars country music singer Granger Smith, who is acting for the very first time.
Tell me about your character. Of course, I've seen the film. He's struggling with what many of us struggle with whenever we're suffering through any kind of trying time. How would you describe this man?
Yeah, that's it. That's what attracted me to the script. Is I thought this guy's so relatable. I know this guy. I've known men like him. In fact, I am, in a lot of ways, like him.
Granger and his wife suffered the loss of their 3-year-old son in a tragic accident 3 years ago.
What we don't realize is when we're falling apart on the inside, the people around us can see that, and then our world starts shattering around us. And that's what I saw in this character. And then the story of redemption, he realizes, doesn't come from him. The redemption doesn't come from within. It has to come from outside of him. And that's just a realization we all have to have when we try to fix it ourselves. We have to realize surrender is the answer.
Anybody ever tell you you're the spitting image of your mother?
Everybody. Before I chop my hair off.
So?
It looks way better.
How about you?
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
Welcome back to Studio 5. As you know, music fuels this production each week, and this week our soundtrack is an entire project from Brian Courtney Wilson. It's called Transitions Experience, and here is just a tiny sample of that great work.
Heaven can heal me, if heaven can heal me. Oh yes, I still believe. Call my name. Won't you help me right now to call my name? Oh yes, I need you to call my name. Call my name. Call my name. I need you to call.
Before we say goodbye this week, I want to take you back to Nashville, Tennessee for a chance to grab just one more word from the son of a country music legend. Here's John Carter Cash.
If you could go back in time now, especially in light of the fact of who your parents are, and give advice to young John, what would you tell that little boy?
Oh, relax, take it easy, pursue your creativity, follow your dreams, and probably the same thing that my dad said to me at the very end of his life when he was weeks away from passing. He said, love with everything you have, every bit of your soul, because it all passes in the blink of an eye. And people told me that when I was younger. I didn't quite get it. I get it a little bit more now. So I try to choose love every day, and I think I'd say that. Choose love, and hopefully I'd listen.
John Carter Cash, thank you. That is a great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back. See where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.